is, it's that time. Let's see, today is February 7th, 2022. We will call this meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This evening we do have one excused absence. President Pro Tem Dwayne is feeling under the weather, so he was considerate enough to let me know he didn't want to share terms. Yes, yes.
Carl, I thought we were going on. I've heard something.
All right, and then next on the agenda, we have approval of minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes?
Motion approved.
Thank you, Mark.
Second.
Thank you, Dave. And a vote for? It looks like we're all in favor, right, Mark?
Yes.
All right. Are there any people before council? I do not see any, so we will go on with Mr. Ben Hedrick, please.
Okay. Well, I guess I'd like to start out by expressing my appreciation to Rick and RJ for how much time they put in for this last storm. I mean, those guys stayed around the clock on Thursday night. I was out with them some Thursday afternoon, and I helped finish up Friday in the plow, but those guys, I thought, did an excellent job trying to keep up with this stuff. It's pretty nasty stuff, and they stayed right on top of it. When we left on Friday afternoon, the streets were all pretty much bare. So I just wanted to express my appreciation to them guys for the time and stuff that they put in.
Absolutely.
I would like to second that, and also several neighbors around me, we talked, and the consensus was that everybody was very impressed and very appreciative of the job that they did.
Yeah.
Same in our neighborhood.
Is there a reason that from Oak Street to Main Street that that's not getting plowed
Oak Street to Main Street.
there in front of the school? We used to plow it all the time. I know Freddie Bastadio got stuck because he missed the intersection. I had to help him out. From the end of Oak Street there to Culver, out to Main Street. We always did plow that when we went through it.
Oh,
mean,
you're
kids
talking
are
about on
clear to the school.
You're talking about on the school road?
Yeah.
I don't think RJ or anybody's ever been aware that we ever plowed that, because I never knew we plowed that, because that's school property.
Well,
I mean, I'm not against plowing it, don't get me wrong, but I don't know that they were aware that they were supposed to plow.
well, and that's why I'm asking, because a lot of people do use that to
I
get
know,
out.
I know I heard somebody complain because we stopped plowing at the school on Main Street going out. Why would we leave it? Well, because it's outside the village. Are we gonna plow all the county roads too? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, yes, we do plow to the park usually, because we have to get back and forth to the water. So we do make sure that's open. I mean, I'm not against doing that, but I'm sure that they probably were not aware that it has ever been
Yeah,
done.
that's why I'm bringing it up, is a lot of people do use that for access
If
out.
that's council's wishes, then I can have them plow it. I don't, but I'm sure that since it's a school property, they probably just went down to the school and turned around and get
Yeah.
back the road.
That's what they've been doing, yeah.
Does the school normally hire that section out to be plowed? Are you aware?
Well, we have our own plow, plus they do have a service too. But it gets used, I work nights down there, and there's people that use that intersection from 4:30 in the morning till then, at night also on the way out, so.
Sure.
I would I would like to recommend that we do it now if there's a problem with it.
So,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, but I'm sure the guys were not aware, Rick and RJ were not aware that it's ever been plowed.
Yeah.
Now, Don may have plowed it in the past, and no one,
Well, we never accepted that road because it wasn't built to our specs.
right. Same way with the water system.
Yeah.
may I be clear again, I'm sorry if I didn't understand completely. The school does hire someone out to
They have
plow?
a service plus they have a plow,
They have a plow
but
and
they
a
don't have a
service.
full-time operator like we do.
So,
And they didn't, oh, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, go ahead.
They didn't come in to clean it until Saturday.
I see.
So we had Thursday and Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, nothing was done with it.
Yeah.
And just us making a pass out and back would make an access. Normally, when the snows like that, they're on it, but when it was so bad, they stayed away. But our crews were out, and just to hit
Sure.
that, just as a courtesy to our
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not against doing it, I don't think that they were aware that any,
Yeah.
because they knew it was not part of the village streets, so
Right.
they did not do it.
Well, it's like everything else, everybody wants to take the closest approach to get out, and poor old Freddie Gustadio got stuck, and it took us a half hour to get him out the other day, and, you know, there was other people you could see that.
Or Rod, what do you want to, if we do decide to plow, it doesn't cause any conflict with the school, does it?
I can clarify that with JB if you want approval.
Well, is it school property?
Yes.
Then I would be really reluctant to do it, because here's the thing, if, what kind of liability are we gonna face? What if we accidentally hit something or damage something? Is the school gonna give
That's why I'm
us?
bringing it up.
I mean, if they'd be willing to sign something giving us, a waiver on any liability, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but,
I'll contact JB and get his either approval or disapproval.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the guys, it was no big deal, because they can swing through there, right out to Main Street or whatever, it's
Yeah.
not a problem, but I'm sure that they were not aware that.
Yeah, it's not a time issue, it's just,
No, it's not.
It's just, well,
it's a
we had
convenience
like
for the
2 days
residents.
or whatever, you want to freeze and rain or whatever, instead the school didn't do anything, so it's just give a little, take a little, and it all works out, and we won't have people getting stuck. Fred's Stadio
Sure.
only has I didn't have any good legs.
Yeah.
But, and geez, I just used him because I helped him get out.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah, I would say if it's causing a problem with our constituents,
Yeah.
putting them in a hardship, then we probably ought to look into taking care of it. As long, like I said, as long as they'll sign off on it.
I'll get ahold of JB when we're done tonight.
All right.
Okay, then, let's see. I'll just have the guys go ahead and do it unless I hear something that you guys don't want to.
I'm sure they'd sign off on it, I know in the past we've just done it and, you know,
So,
Well, I mean, I'll take the blame back, because I never told them to do it.
it's not a blame thing, it's.
yeah, I
Well-
appreciate the courtesy, but let's wait till we have approval before, because the school can hire it out. They do have a plow, they do have a service, and what I'm hearing, we want to make sure we're not liable. We also want to be courteous, obviously, helping people, so until we get the superintendent's approval, let's hold off on telling our guys.
I mean, they do drop the plow coming down Oak Street and there on Kirby when they're plowing, so it's not like they don't try to help out too, so.
Yeah, I'm all about helping. I wish I could have helped Fred. I didn't realize he needed help. And then, of course, his.
Well, I was up checking school and they're,
Yeah. Of course, he has some children that have to have access to
Mhm.
that bus too, so
Yeah.
I'm all about helping, but with the liability, let's make sure we're covered
all right,
first.
I'll do that.
Yeah, so another thing, if we do it for the school,
Then we gotta
now we
do
gotta do it for Midwest, we
Yeah.
gotta do it for every other business
Well,
throughout
not
here.
necessarily.
You've got two
That's
public
taken into
entities.
consideration. School is also a taxpayer's situation.
It's a public
So what we
entity.
do for the school, there's been a lot of times in the past that we've done things for the school that we won't do for just everybody because they're taxpayers. I mean, their money is contributed by taxpayers of the village, taxpayers of the school district and stuff, so.
Well, no
we
one's
have
plowing my
money-
driveway, I pay taxes, so.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean
It's not
squat
that
to
you pay
me.
taxes, it's that
Two
they
public
receive
entities.
taxpayer money to operate on.
Yes, and they can afford their own plow.
Right. But we have done that in the past, I mean, we've helped them with several things. I mean, I know for years, we've always worked with the schools work with us too, because there's
Yeah.
been times when we've had an issue with a vehicle, and a pension, we take it down, and Jason would pull it in the barn and fix it. So, I think that, you know, everybody should work together as far as the taxpayers thing. That's just my opinion. I think that we should work together to help each other out as much as we can.
We definitely want to extend courtesy and continue with good relations and make sure we're compliant and making sure everyone's liable and approved first, so. What else you got for us, Ben?
Okay, I wanted to let everyone know that I've talked with Don, and he has decided to retire. So he is not going to be working with the village any longer. He decided that after he had that surgery and stuff, and, you know, he just talked it over with his wife, and they just decided that he would retire.
How
So,
many long years?
I'm not exactly sure, but I'm sure it's around 20.
Yeah, that's
At least
incredible.
20, or somewhere close to 20 anyhow.
Plus his years on council and mayor.
Yeah, he was on council, he was mayor at one time too, so.
He's been in a lot of years.
Yeah, that's incredible. And so, do you feel like we're good with one full-time worker and one part-time worker?
I think we're at least right now, but, you know, we might have to see where we're at in the summer when we get into where we've got a lot more things going, but for right now, I think we're probably okay with that. But, and you know, we get into the summertime and we get where we're doing a lot of mowing and a lot of other stuff, we may end up maybe needing and looking at trying to get maybe another part-time guy for,
Let's get him
you know,
to work.
15, 20 hours a week or something like that. Just
Every time.
maybe nothing more than just during the summertime,
Yeah, seasonal.
so.
What is Rick's employment situation? Does he have to do some finagling?
Yeah, he had to, basically, Rick had to say he was retired from the village because of PERS regulations. They wouldn't pay his insurance, so he had to retire, and he's actually working as contractual now, basically, is what he's doing.
So we have,
Instead of taking taxes out.
Instead of taking taxes out, we're just paying him just like we would somebody else we would hire in.
so we have to adjust that
Yes,
per council.
yes.
Right. So,
We kind of done it as a temporary thing for this past pay until we could get it approved, because they were going to charge him, how much was it? Almost, he was getting like $1,000 reduced for his insurance, and they cut that out. So he just couldn't afford his insurance, and he needed it, so we figured we'd let council know, and then you guys decide if that's if that's okay with you. We have other subcontractors, you know, we pay, James and Keith, our operators of record, as a subcontractor, so.
Can we do that under services?
I was gonna say
Yeah.
old business, but that's fine.
Yeah. Sure can.
okay, let's see. I talked to the guy about the backhoe today, and he said, he was gonna do some checking on it. Looks like it's probably still on track for probably sometime in March, but he said if it was gonna be held up or anything, he said, this time, with all this stuff going on, like everything else, there's no guarantees. Yeah, so, but he said as far as he knew at this point, he was gonna get ahold of the company. He said if it looked like it was gonna be longer than that, he would get back with me and let me know, so.
Great.
Also too, I don't know whether we wanna wait until we get to services, whether we wanna discuss he asked about the trade-in on the backhoe, and I said, council, I think, was gonna look at putting it out for bid, but I don't know exactly when they were gonna do that. But I think, you know, and once we take the new backhoe, they probably won't take it in on trade after that. So,
When they
Say
offer
that
us
again?
When they offer us all one again?
8,500.
What did you say about once we get the new, they won't?
Well, they're wanting to know if they're gonna have to take it in on trade or not. If they deliver the new one and we haven't made a decision,
I see.
they're probably not gonna want to take it after they've delivered the new one, they're probably not gonna want to take it in on trade. That's pretty much,
I see.
you know what I'm saying? That's what
Yeah.
about it. So I think probably next month sometime, we probably ought to look, if we're gonna want to put it out for bids, at least stick it out there and see what people want once we get through the snow and all this stuff, or we don't.
Carrie, we're gonna list that on WOs or have a discussion
You guys talked about different options last month and decided that you were gonna hold off because we didn't want it to be out there and then, and it ended up being late and it'd be March or April and so you guys wanted to hold off to decide. So I don't know anything about those programs. So you guys would have to tell me who and where and what.
We'll remain the rest of this over for, the service committee then.
Service committee.
Okay, and then, was you gonna talk about the motors on service committee?
I will, sure, yes.
Okay, all right. Then I guess that's the only thing I had to bring up.
Salt barn.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
that was down,
Yeah.
that was down below, okay. Yeah, I talked with Alan about the salt barn, and he looked at some alternatives. He gave us, and he's trying to get prices to get, so we can figure out, you know, how much it was gonna cost, but what he thought, we could possibly build one like the state uses, where they have metal that goes up around and they put like it's like a big heavy duty tarp like thing that goes over top of it and stuff, that's what they're using. And he thinks that we can probably do that with like concrete pillars and stuff along the bottoms, considerably cheaper than what the prices we were getting on that barn. So, but he wasn't able to get prices back because those companies, he had two companies he's dealt with before, and they told him, they said, well, you know, it's probably gonna be a month or so before we get your prices, there was just so much stuff going on, so.
And
We don't have a price on what those are gonna run yet, but Alan seemed to think that they were gonna come in considerably less than what we were looking at to redo the one we've got now.
We got room.
Yeah, I mean, we can take that one down and just put it right back up there, we got a concrete pad and everything there, so.
Did we ever reach out to the township, Ben?
That was, yeah. I thought we were gonna split the cost once you get these, or ask about splitting
We
the
were
cost.
gonna ask them about
Township,
it.
once you get these quotes, is that?
Right.
That's on my list too, David, to ask about.
But we haven't got the quotes back from Alan yet, so I mean, I've got the price, of what we had before, but that, to me, that's way out of the ballpark. I mean, that's just something that's crazy.
It's unaffordable.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. I mean, and council's got, obviously, you guys have the final say, but my opinion is that's way, way higher than I ever would have thought it would have cost us to redo it.
What was that?
It was more than twice than what we paid for it.
It's gonna be over 100,000.
Okay.
I think we built that one for 25.
I know, so I said it's way more than double.
Right.
So
Like 15,
when-
20 years ago. So
It was
this-
under the cap.
Yeah. When Alan gives those quotes to you, hopefully by next month, he'll be able to bring to the council the new estimate, and perhaps the service committee will come up with a date to go to township and talk about splitting the costs. Sound right?
Yeah,
I had a question for you if you're done with that topic.
okay.
Oh, you probably haven't called him yet. I'll wait.
That project's complete. Everything's completed on the Holden Curry project, and it's paid out, right?
They have to approve the pay allocations. They're submitting to Ohio Public Works to do the pay for Spires, trying to remember the name of the company. And then, Shelley, sorry.
Shelley.
Shelley. So we have to approve the OPWC disbursement, and then for us, our portion to pay Shelley was $20,933.69. I have it on the pay list today. I have it sitting there waiting for approval before I mail it out. But, so you're basically approving the $20,933.69 that comes out of our pocket and approving for us to send, OPWC the disbursement.
What was that figure?
$20,933.69. That is our portion that we have paid Shelley, and then you're approving for us to send OPWC the remainder.
So I would entertain a motion to approve the $20,933.69, the village cost, and for OPWC to complete the cost of the
we need a second first before I.
Okay. I'll second.
There we go.
All right, Ms. Suzanne has made a second. Will there be any other discussion with regard to this motion?
Yes, ma'am. What exactly was this for again?
This is for Alderman Duncan Kirby.
Okay.
Yes.
I wrote it in the wrong place, my bad.
Shelley had submitted it, but they had something wrong, they submitted the pay thing a couple months ago when they finished it, but that's when they decided to come in and do that extra, so they were
Okay.
waiting, and they finally got the pay distribution to Alan to finalize for things, so this is it.
I guess-
After this will be it, and it's finalized, so,
Thanks.
yeah.
Any other further discussion about this project? And a vote for? Looks like we're all in favor. Committees? Are you done, Ben? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
done.
Committees? When does the budget committee meet?
As soon as I get the numbers this month from, the county. So we'll be later this month.
Okay. And the service committee, are they meeting, for mowers or?
So, Ben did give me some new quotes on some new mowers. So one gentleman, we want to demo one of their products, and that's not going to happen probably till sometime in March. So I made the rest of the committee aware of what was going on via text. So basically, we're waiting for this guy to get a hold of us, so we can demo the mower to see if it's going to meet our needs specifically at the lagoons.
Fun.
Huh?
That'll be fun, to
Yeah.
demo mowers. I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly. And then once that is done, then I will meet with the service committee and we'll come up with some recommendations. But we got the prices and everything, so.
Okay. All right. Any other committees, information updates? Good?
So what did I hold over for service committee?
They held over the RIF pay stub, and then you just said that you were going to, do a service committee meeting for the backhoe. So you just
Okay.
gotta create a meeting.
So back to the backhoe. I don't know realistically what it would bring on an open market or a bid situation, but I would advise you, if everybody else is in agreement, that we put this on Gov Deals and we see what we're gonna be able to fetch. If we set a reserve on it for 85, let's say, because we know they're gonna give it at least that much, if we could bring anything over, that'd be great. If not, we could either, decide not to sell it because the reserve hasn't been met, or just use it for a trade-in. But I'd like to be able to put it out for bid and see what we can get from it. If we can get over the $8,500, that will benefit us greatly. So, and you said you've never really done that before. I would rather see it go on Gov Deals versus like a heavy equipment trader or something, because, there's a lot of government entities and there's a lot of private people that subscribe to Gov Deals. So you don't have to be a government official to bid on anything. But I think, people specifically look for this equipment on there, so.
And do you think there should be like a time frame if it's not met in a certain time in a certain dollar amount?
There's usually auction end times.
Yeah, yeah. You just have to look into what would fit our benefit. I would say, give it like a 30 days and see what it'll go, if it'll go. If not, then we can reject the bids and hold on to it, possibly use it for a trade-in.
We'll have to do that pretty quick. I'm sorry, Carrie.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I just
Because the
wasn't
backhoe
sure.
could be here in a month
Yeah.
or a
So
month and a
yeah.
half, so we need to get after that.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and make a motion that we submit to Gov Deals for our backhoe, set a reserve over $8,500 on it, see if we can do a 30-day bid on it, and see what that gets us.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to put the backhoe for 30 days, 8,500 on GovDeals.com.
Reserve for 8,500.
And Jeff will second that. Are there any other discussion? Will we like to vote for? All in favor? Because we've got a mouthful for the motions tonight.
Carrie, I would like to offer assistance if you need any.
Okay,
I've put-
I'll put it on there if I have any questions.
Yeah.
I'll change your title to Tech Whiz.
Well,
Contractor.
I sell things on Gun Broker, so it's kind of the,
I've done
it's,
eBay before.
They're the
years
same
ago,
thing.
similar, yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, anything else for committees? Anything for park and beautifications? I know,
Well, I know we're getting ready to have a meeting.
it's my baby, I love that, sorry.
When is that?
And that's, I was going to defer to the mayor on that, because she
February
said the meeting.
21st.
There we go, February 21st.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you're
but we haven't had a
like
meeting
Easter.
since then, so we're going to get ready for our spring
Yeah.
Easter and all that fun stuff.
Thank you for your grace.
I have something for parks. Our park certification for the food booth came this week. I contacted the baseball association, they upped their license to a level 3. So I got that changed, and then it's in the pay thing as well. I talked to the one guy that's I've been dealing with for the park, the baseball association. He was having a hard time coming up with some ideas to do some, for the last few years, they've done like service projects at the park in lieu of some of their fees. And we're kind of at the point now, we don't really have a lot of things that needs done. So I did tell them last month about the slide, if it does come in, that they could use that as part of it, if they want to install. But other than that, I think they're going to be kind of out of luck for a while, so, but that's the only thing that came up in the rows at the office for parks, so.
Okay. Thank you. All right, budget. Mr. Van Noy is not here
Just got the meeting.
at the meeting. Whenever that is made aware, you'll let me know, so hopefully I can make it. Zoning.
Zoning, we had one fence permit that was issued this month, and we was able to get the van moved off Main Street. And
Nice.
it's in there.
The minivan?
Yeah, the marine van, we got
Marine.
moved.
Minivan.
I went down and tagged it, and next day,
I called
they
the
called
police.
and said, well, we don't, I don't know, I'm gonna get in.
It's been handled.
I was just very glad to find out before
She,
she tagged it.
she claimed that she'd been driving it, which.
It's kind of hard to
Let it
drive a
go.
tire.
Yeah, the flat tire for a while.
I had a little
It's
bit
been
flat tire.
handled.
Yeah,
Yep,
well,
so
well,
we'll
they
keep
get,
going.
the
It's
tire
been
goes flat
handled.
every night, and then we get found out. That, we're not gonna get into that.
Yep, that's been
Anyways,
handled.
it's moved, so that's, we'll just let it go.
And my daughter's has been donated to the veterans.
Nice.
It's gone. They were supposed to pick it up when we got that snow the last time, and they canceled on us.
Oh, stuff happens, huh? Anything else for zoning?
No, I think everything else is.
All right, with services, I think, are we clear with mowers? Everything good there? Well, let's discuss Rick. And you're fine to go ahead and briefly, quickly discuss how we handle that.
Rick came to us in the middle of the month saying that he either had 2 options, quit with the village altogether or continue to work at the same rate, but instead of getting taxes taken out, be a subcontractor because of his insurance. He isn't 65 for a few more years, so, it was one of those things. So, we didn't want to lose him, so we went ahead and cut his check that week, that one, after talking to the mayor, as a subcontractor. Still same pay rate as we'd already done, and then we figured we'd bring it up to you guys for discussion if you want to continue that, or what's your other option for. I had to actually go in and do a report for Over saying that he's no longer there, and then we had to fill out a form that he was going to be a subcontractor, just so he'd be able to get his insurance.
There was a sense of urgency.
Yes, it was one of
With
those
his
things, yeah.
insurance and with his employment. So I went ahead and made the decision, because he has been a very dedicated, hardworking employee. So at this point, council can elect.
Maybe I can explain a little further. What basically happened is, he worked for the city of Lancaster like I did for years. Well, he's not 65, I'm 65, so I didn't fall underneath that category. But what PRS has changed their policy as of this year, the beginning of the year, and they no longer are paying for insurance for somebody that has went back to work for another municipality or government agency. So basically, they were not gonna pay his insurance like he has in the past. They would, if you're working for somebody else.
If there was
So-
that sense of urgency, I would never just go make a decision like that without everyone's weight in that.
So that's the reason why he asked. It was pretty much either a decision was made like that, or you're just gonna have to find somebody else to replace Rick, because Rick was not gonna be able to afford the amount of insurance that it was gonna cost him to pay out of his own pocket.
So now he's a subcontractor, basically.
If that's what council wants.
Upon approval.
So I'd like to make a motion that we hire Rick Beck as an as-needed sub. I don't want to really put a time limit on it because, you know, I'm sure you've
Well,
been
yeah,
20 hours up
He works
this
just
week.
whenever, I mean, he works usually 3 days a week, and he works usually Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. That's what he works.
And being as an as-needed, it would be hours that he worked that he would be getting paid
Right.
for. You wouldn't be getting any holidays or anything.
No, he doesn't, and he wasn't getting any holidays before.
So-
Because he was considered a part-time employee, so he wasn't getting holidays.
So I move that we approve Mr. Beck for an as-needed sub-contractor for the village of Amanda
At the same pay rate.
at the same rate.
All right, Mark has a motion on the floor to hire Mr. Beck on an as-needed basis to work for the village at the same pay rate.
Second.
Dave makes the second. Are there any other discussion?
I have just a question. Just trying to wrap my head around to understand. So, in fact, so if we're paying him as a contractor the same hourly rate that he was, we're not having to pay taxes and things like that on top of it and whatnot. It's just essentially he's a 1099 employee.
He's a 1099 employee, which we have 2 other 1099 employees already, so, yeah.
Okay, so we can just continue with the 1099 employees.
Right.
There's no contracts. If we don't need them, we don't need them. They don't work. And if we need them, they work.
And if he wants to go on vacation next week, he.
That's-
Right.
Which is the same as
Yep.
what he was before, so he doesn't get overs and taxes taken out.
Okay.
Same, yeah.
And we don't have to match his purse, right?
Exactly.
You don't have to match first, that's.
It'll basically be the same contractor that we have for, our water superintendent and our.
He was a hire, rehire anyways, kind of like Ben and Don did years ago when Ben and Rick retired from Lancaster. We'd already done the hire, rehire thing, position, just, yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion? And a vote for? Looks like we're all in favor. All right, anything else for services? Alrighty, let's move on.
Wait a minute. Carrie brought up about trash.
Oh, yes, I have it, yes, that's right. It was
I'll just turn it over.
Thank you.
She just gave it to me and
yes, I put it in the raised box.
Yeah.
Basically, when we were reviewing Corbin's contract, trying to go through it, I kind of stumbled upon that our trash service contract's up this year as well, which means it's up in April. Ben and I contacted Brown Sanitation. We've been trying to get them to come in for the last few weeks, because we wanted to go over the ending of the contract, whether they want to see if, you know, if they want to continue, or if so, being that they've been already contracted at the same rate for 3 years, and this would be another 3 years if there was any rates increases that they wanted to do, or that way I can bring that, we can bring that information to you, if you guys to make the decision whether you want to retain them or go out for bids. They were having a hard time getting in when we were available. They finally got to come in today. They said that, you know, our contract does state that, you know, if there's service fees like dump fees and fuel fees that does arise, they have the option to raise it throughout our contract, but they never did. They're wanting to raise it $1.50 per month per household, and then $10 more on the dumpsters, which is not that bad for 6 years. So, you know, $1.50 increase in 6 years wouldn't be too much. They said, you know, that is negotiable, but really truly, they wouldn't be making very much profit if they didn't increase it. They would understand that if you wanted to go out for bids, but they really do enjoy, the village, and we have not had any issues. I mean, once in a blue moon, they might have missed somebody, but we don't have the complaints that we have with all the other companies we've dealt with in the past. Do you want to add in on the?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, I mean, our complaints are basically nil. I mean, with the other trash companies they had, of course, I wasn't, but I know Ralph used to get complaints constantly. When the others were here about, they leave stuff laying in the street, they dump it, they fall out, they didn't pick it up. They had stuff running from their garbage trucks when they were around town. We do not see that or get them kind of complaints with Browns, and they're very good to work with. If we have an issue, we call them, they take care of it right away, which we've had very few issues, at least in the last year that I've been involved.
I'd like to add a little something. As a council person, I remember they came in with Rumpke and Waste Management. This is like a small, family-owned. She was in tears when we hired her.
Tears of joy.
Do you remember?
Yes.
She is so grateful, and they do handle it right away. If there's an occasional missed trash can, they will come out that week, Friday usually. So I agree with this recommendation, and I really think they go over and beyond, and I really appreciate Brown Sanitation. So that's my 2 cents.
It's basically $700.50 more a year that they would be billing us.
Yep.
And that $1.50 would just be tacked on, to everybody's, to cover that, increase. And, but if you guys decide to retain them, then I can have the contract drawn up. Because I wanted to add one stipulation, if you guys approve that, I wanted to add the frost walls portion of that into the contract about them switching, and then, so then I would do that and have the ordinance drawn up to increase the rates for next month, and if you guys choose to go out for bids, then, it would definitely have to be something that I'd have to get it in the paper right away, that way we have enough time to, address it in March and still have a little bit of time before they, have to transition.
I mean, and you look at the price of diesel, how much it's went up. I mean, I got a diesel truck, man, the price of fuel has went up tremendously. For them to only ask for $1.50, this would be through a 6-year deal that 3 years prior, they didn't ask for any kind of increase. I would surely think that that's well within reason, and like I said, what they've done for us as far as zero complaints, I think that weighs a lot too.
Well, so you guys mentioned $1.50 per customer. I guess I'm confused. So $1, they want to raise it $1.50 per customer, which.
For regular trash.
Right.
And seniors, yeah.
So the additional $10.
That's for only dumpsters.
So that's not for the rental of the port of the things with the wheels that we roll out. That's
Stand
for.
that's
Okay.
Subway, that's the.
Yeah, like.
I think there's like 280 some, regular residential and senior customers, that would be $1.50, and then the dumpsters would be the $10 more.
Okay.
There's no mention of the compactors.
The compactors, we don't
Those are
have.
somebody else that-
Compactors
Farmers
is
does
through
it.
farmers.
No, I think farmers.
No, farmers is still there, it's just where they dump is through,
Right.
even
It goes
even,
through,
But the pricing is in the contract.
not in this contract.
No,
We have a
farmers has a
separate.
separate, we have a separate contract with farmers.
Just wanted to make sure,
Yes.
yeah. We'll do it all at once.
Yeah.
Did I see your hand go up?
No, I was thinking about the frost line, and I was thinking like Mark was the compactors up at school. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we extend our contract.
Thank
I'll
you,
second.
Dave. There's a motion on the floor to extend Brown Sanitation's contract with a second.
I think we need to get a written contract proposal before we make a motion. Let's get it in writing.
I had them review their old contract
Okay.
today, and they said they didn't have any changes
All right.
except the frost wall.
I just wanted to make sure
add.
that,
And I told them I would just, because I wanted them to see if there was any changes that they wanted us to make, even in our guidelines, And they said there was no.
I'm just not a believer in signing.
And there was a
Magic pieces of
second
paper.
by Jeff
Right.
Hamilton. Any other discussion?
And I can have the contract finished.
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to clarify.
And is there a vote for? Looks like we're all in favor.
Okay, and I'll have the, rate ordinance, typed up for next month.
Do we have to do the same thing with the compactors?
No.
So that's an as-needed contract or what?
Whenever we get billed,
Okay.
we in turn
Right.
bill to the school, so there's nothing that we have, that we pay
I
out.
had a little time off, I don't
Whatever
remember.
they bill, that's what we bill them, so we don't, yeah.
I think we took care of that situation.
All right, so next, property maintenance. Thank you for bringing the trash.
Yeah, I
It's
forgot
not on the
that.
agenda, and I appreciate you bringing that up.
I have the agenda typed up before our meeting, so that's why. I
Well, thank you for that. And so, next, we have property maintenance. Whose month was it?
That was actually my month,
Okay.
and I dropped the ball on it
Yes.
with work and weather, and so I'll get those this weekend, or if Susan would like to go around and,
Yeah, there was 3 that needed inspected.
yep.
Okay.
I mean, I'll, if you'd like to go around with me, I think
Okay.
that'd be,
And that way I
that
can
way
run
you
the
get
roads.
a, yeah.
That's great teamwork, because I know we've all had some good momentum, and we've all kind of been slacked, those that have done it, so I'm glad that we're gonna work together. Yes.
So I talked to Suzanne briefly. We have a property, 225 East High Street, which is proposing a garage. I was out for a walk last week, happened to walk by there, and I did take some pictures. So the back, full of debris, mattresses, tires, junk. But the thing that really sticks out is they have a lean-to on the back of the structure. And I don't know if it's a utility room, a mud room, or what, but it's got a metal roof, there's holes all through the roof. So it looks like, you know, maybe possibly leaning towards a condemnation of the structure or whatever. I did provide Suzanne with the owner's information per the county auditor's website. I did look and I noticed that that property has not been addressed before.
Okay.
So if anybody, if we need to write the, whatever form we have for the complaint, I'll write it as a citizen so we can move forward with it. But it's
Yeah.
just, it's pretty bad.
Is someone living there?
It appears to be empty.
I thought, okay, on this alley.
So it would be right, basically almost beside the house that we had issue with the
Grass.
signs.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got the house at 225, you got the alley, then you got 221, which is also, we've
The
been.
grass?
Yeah, we've been writing that forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we need to,
Yeah, just formally write it down for me, and then I'll type it up for tomorrow.
I'll
And they
talk
can do that
tomorrow
inspection.
and get a form from you. and
Jerry,
get
that
it properly.
225 is the one that we turned the water off on, remember when there, and then we turned it back on, some months later, or a couple months later.
Okay,
You know, remember which one I'm talking about?
no, but.
Yeah, I know exactly which one it is. It's the one that we,
Used to be the Lowry House.
Mowers.
Mount.
Okay.
Used to be. years
Yeah.
ago.
All right, yeah, just get it wrote up, and then I'll get all the information to them for when they do inspecting.
And in the auditor's website, it also says that the owners of that structure, have a current address on Rich Hall Road. So
Yeah.
they're apparently still within our area, not particularly the village, but within our area. So, yeah, I'm gonna get that written up so we can start addressing that.
I appreciate your diligence with
I know
that
they've
property.
done quite a bit of work on that place, I mean, they've put new door and stuff in front, different things like that.
Yeah, but they,
So
the
what-
front, but the back is.
With the other property that we wanted to,
Probably, do a lot.
perhaps go with the prosecutors,
Yeah.
Weavers,
we aren't able to because of the inspections. Is that correct?
You turn the water off and then turn it back.
No, we sent them a prosecutor's notice saying, this past month saying they had so many days to do it before, and if they didn't get it done within those so many days, then it goes to the prosecutor. So we've already done the first notice and second notice, now the prosecutor's notice.
We did approve
Once-
that last
Yes,
month.
and that,
Okay.
once
That's-
those days are up, which would be next month, I think,
Okay.
then they'll, if they're not cleaned up, then it goes to prosecutor.
Okay, thank you.
get that taken.
Anything else for
development.
Ben, do you want to briefly discuss, the landowner is not willing to?
I figured that was probably,
Old-
gonna do that under old
Well,
business.
business is fine.
It's
It's
development.
okay. Well, that's cool. Development and old business are right after each other, so let's go for it.
Okay, well, Dwayne and I went down and talked to her, and it was made pretty obvious to us that she is not willing to sell at all. So, I mean, I don't know. We can't sit on this forever. What we're gonna do? There's just nothing around that area that the farmers, none of them that we've talked to are wanting to sell. We've talked to them over the last year or so. None of them are wanting to sell. This land here, I mean, I advised her that, you know, it can't be used to build one. She said, well, if I do anything with it, I give it to my sons, one of my sons to build a house on. I said, it's in floodplain, it can't be built on. She goes, well, I don't want to sell it. So, it's just, so I don't know where we go. I mean, the thing is, we're gonna be between a rock and a hard spot before too long, something happens to that well. And I hate to wait till something does completely happen to that well, and then we're scrambling. So I don't know whether council wants to, if I was, this is just me talking out loud. If it ever come to the point, and I hope it wouldn't, but it may very well come to that point, and we'd have to take an eminent domain, take something eminent domain, I would much rather take land that can't be used for anything, rather than farmers' fields, if they're used to farm. That's just my opinion. I hope it would never come to that, but it's not looking very promising to me from what I'm seeing, and so I don't know. But the thing is, you know, if we wait till that well goes down, how long is it gonna take us? If we have to end up doing something in a hurry, how long is it gonna take us to get through court and everything to get something done? That's all something everybody's gonna have to look at.
It takes a year.
That's why I said, you're looking at a year. Can we buy a year if that well goes down?
Those are such valid points.
So you went down, Ben, on your own accord and approached her?
Dwayne and I was asked to go down last meeting.
Yes.
Charlotte and I was gonna go, but then she had school, or she had classes she had to attend, so Dwayne went with me.
Did we put anything in writing?
We had sent her a letter.
We had sent her a letter.
Asking for her to contact us.
Okay.
Because we wanted to talk to her about that, but
I've made a phone call and a written request and a personal request.
So, and I agree with Ben, we can't sit on it forever, but we don't want to get into where you're encroaching as a governmental entity on somebody's property. I would ask that we send something by certified mail. We did send it by certified mail, and we got a no on it.
She
she didn't respond.
She didn't respond to that.
And it was just asking her to contact us that we wanted to talk to her about.
My understanding is it was like a 3-minute visit. Char's already talked to me, I already got the letter, I'm not doing it.
Yes, that's pretty much what she did. Yeah, I mean, she wasn't even open for any discussion. It was,
So I would think, we already have a paper trail. I don't know. I would think that we send her one more official letter stating why we need the property.
Good.
Advising her that eminent domain could be a possibility,
It's good.
and then proceed from there. And if she's unwilling and we really need it, then I guess we bite the bullet and make somebody unhappy.
That's good. And stress the, feeling well.
well, and I did express that. I mean, I told her, I said, well, the reason why we're needing to do something, because we got a well is that, you know, we don't know how much longer it's gonna last, and so we're trying to get some land, but she
I like
had
that.
nothing to do with any of it. She wasn't-
Benny, how far away from the existing well fields would be a good estimate of what we need? Where we need, I should say.
How far away can we go?
Yeah.
I mean, you can go as far as you wanna go if you're willing to pay what it's gonna cost you to run piping and stuff.
I mean,
But the thing is, we've been told for years, said years ago when he was doing it, he goes, you guys, if you ever do anything, you need to get on the other side of Clear Creek. The water is much better over on the other side of Clear Creek than it is where we're at. It gets you in a different aquifer and everything else. So he said, that's where you need to go. Well, talking with Worthman, he was in the same belief that we would be better off. And there's just no more room on the land that we have that the EPA will let you drill another well on that land because we can't get far enough away from the farmers' fields in order to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Where down there, we're pretty much, there's not anybody that farms any of that right in that general area. You got the creek bordering you on one side, and they farm way back in the back end, but nothing up close.
So if we're gonna put our foot down and really explore this, why don't we, if we're going to explore options, go ahead with Young's, shoot Judy, and, I don't, the Psalms in that?
Psalms, Paul Psalms already been approached, and they just bought that land a few years ago, and they said they were not wanting to sell
Wow.
it because all the grandkids are farming now, and that's the reason why they expanded their land.
I think.
And Young's, I can tell you right now, that is not.
We've already discussed that, it might be a thing where we have to take it.
Right.
I
But
mean, none of us wanna have to take it because you and I are probably the only two that know anything about where the well field's out now and how much bad atmosphere that brought.
Exactly, that's what I said, I don't want to get into that again.
May I
But
ask you why you want to go that route instead of the first property owner?
what
we were
I'm saying is,
discussing?
if we introduce the options to these, it's a starting process. If we're gonna do it for one, why not do it for the 3 or 4 other options that we have?
So, to be clear, write those letters and make those phone calls to everyone.
I think we need to explore all options
Yeah.
myself.
If we have the opportunity that somebody does see our plate, decides they want to sell, it's obviously better for us than going into demand procedures.
Right.
I had mentioned to Benny that maybe we need to talk to Alan and see if he can come up with another option and a different route. Maybe that might be a more feasible place in another direction. That might be an option as well.
Let's do both, do
Yeah.
all of the landowners and Alan.
Well, we've brought up Alan before.
Yeah,
I brought him
I
up.
talked with Alan about it before, and there's really not a lot of other options left.
So if I remember right, Benny, what's failing on the well is the liner, is that correct?
Right.
The well itself, it's not the water, it's the liner of
Well,
the well,
the casing,
the casing.
the casing is starting to show signs of getting
Is
hit
there-
really bad.
Is it worth talking to Alan to see if the EPA will let us put another well beside it and either remove that casing or abandon it or fill it with bentonite or something along those lines to where we could still get water from the same spot without having to take somebody's land and just have a new well?
That's a great question.
That's a question, but in all honesty, that well has probably been the worst well of all the wells over the years anyways. The quality of water that comes out of that well is much worse than the other 2 wells.
Well, that's the first I've heard that.
As far
You
as
know.
the iron and stuff, when they clean that well every couple of years, that well, they cleaned it this year, it jumped from 30-some gallon a minute that it was producing up to about 52, 53 gallon a minute. In a year or two, it just keeps dropping because it's got so much iron. That well has got so much iron in it, it just, it serves us, and it's serviceable, but it's,
Is that what killed my coffee maker?
well, no, that's the line. That's the
So,
line that kills your coffee.
So, I really think we need to get Alan to see if that's viable or if there's another spot, because, I could never support taking somebody's land.
I agree.
I'll tell you right now, obviously I'm just one, but I could never do that, obviously. Mark's had horrible experience with having to do it. I would like to make a motion to get Alan to see if there's another location, or if we can put a new well in and either remove that casing or abandon it. You can plug them with bentonite. It's a pain in the butt, but it can be done.
The only other, if we
Motion on
explored
the
the
floor
south, I'm sorry.
From Jeff Hamilton to explore the casing and having Alan look to see if we can still utilize an area close to the existing well. Did I say your motion correctly?
And to look for other locations.
Yeah,
And to
can-
look for another location.
Can I have the opportunity to ask something before you second this?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we don't have to do
Yeah.
an amended motion.
By all means.
Can you put in there, in that motion about contacting the other property owners?
Yeah,
In addition to,
sure, and while doing so, send out notice to the other property owners mentioned that we are interested in purchasing land.
Okay, so there's a motion to ask Alan to explore other areas
Thanks, Jeff.
and to repair or fill the existing, and to go about contacting other landowners, as we did the one owner, to explore the best options for our issue with the well.
It's a mouthful.
Pretty much.
You would-
I wouldn't put anything in there about.
It sounds threatening.
Yeah.
It sounds threatening.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does, it does.
All right, just, we're actually just exploring options.
Right.
Yeah, I don't like that word either.
Right.
But you make a valid point. And so do you. If we're gonna do for one, we ought to go all directions, and I don't wanna do that, but if we were to, it would be better not on farmland than to do.
That, if we
on
had,
land
if
that
it came,
can't
that,
be used.
I guess that was what I was trying to say. If it came to that,
Yeah, so there is a
then I would
motion.
much rather see us take land that's can't be used for anything, rather than take farmers' land if they don't want to sell it. But hopefully it will come to that. That's what I hope.
Dave has seconded. Are there any other discussion at this point?
no, I agree. I think we need to approach it in a cautious manner, without the threat of eminent domain or anything else.
And I wanna read the letter before we send it out. And are there a vote for? All in favor? Good grief, that's a lot to say. Huh.
Well, it's something that, like Benny's saying, we gotta jump on, get
Absolutely.
it rolling.
We can't just sit on it forever and then just,
Well,
something happens and we're scrambling, and that's.
Well, yeah,
my
I
only
recall,
fear.
this has been an issue for a few years now with this well, so, let's go on. Anything else for development?
There's, much as I know, nothing.
Alrighty, and then with old business, I guess all I had really was, did South Central correct the electrical panels that you have been after them for? And I'm sure they've been very busy with the weather.
Yeah.
But by next month, I'm gonna hope you say, yes, they
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else for old business from anybody? Alrighty, let's go on to the solicitor. There are 2 letters of interest for the position that you all should be able to review. One from our existing village solicitor, Mr. Tom Corbin, of more than 40 years, and one from Mr. Brad Nicodemus.
And Mayor Fisher, if you would, can you remind me what Mr. Nicodemus helped us with village-wise last year? I know you had reached out to him regarding an issue.
So actually, I met him through some mayor's roundtables
Mhm.
that Mayor Henderson of Pleasantville hosted. In my first year, I wanted to attend and learn as much as I could. I attended those meetings. He did not help us.
Okay.
He came before us, as did Mr. Corbin, when we were kind of asking questions, almost like an interviewing kind of basis. So he did not help us in any way.
I must have misunderstood a conversation at the afternoon session.
What?
I said I must have misunderstood. We had a conversation regarding you meeting him, but I must have misunderstood the
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, he didn't help the village at all.
Okay.
Is, Mr. Nicodemus currently the mayor of Baltimore?
He is. He small villages, as he understands the budget of the small villages. He has a wealth of experience. And again, that's how I met him at mayor's roundtables.
Is he a solicitor for any other village?
I believe he is for Pleasantville.
He just lists many on here.
Various municipalities.
And I believe Buckeye Lake. But I would want to say definitely, for sure, but I recall him saying, you know, a couple of years ago that he represented Pleasantville and Buckeye Lake. As to, you know, his status of representation today, I don't know if he represents those villages. Does that make sense?
But he is assistant city attorney for Whitehall.
Correct.
So he understands working with, obviously by his resume, working with other departments, fire departments, police departments, other mayor's courts and such.
Correct. He piqued my interest in one of the mayor's courts, the discussion that we had in regards to property maintenance and the way that he handled property maintenance as, I believe it was like a public nuisance, and he gained results.
Okay, I think that was information we were discussing.
Yeah,
Property
so he
maintenance.
wasn't able to help us, so to
Right.
speak, but I remember these discussions and wanting as my goal to improve the property maintenance, talking to him in the way that he did it in Pleasantville and in Baltimore.
Can we have him in for an interview?
I'm sure he would like to come. They did it, what, I think a year ago, last February, Mr. Corbin and Mr. Nicodemus came forward, I believe. So I'm sure he would.
Can we have them both? So I wasn't on council then, I've never met either one of the gentlemen. Would it be possible to have them both come in?
Would you all like to schedule that for the next council meeting? Or do we want to have a run?
The last time we had them both in here, and if I remember correctly, Mr. Corbin presented himself and left, and Mr. Nicodemus sat here, and then we got to talking, and I said I didn't think it was fair for us to talk about either one of the candidates when one was here and one wasn't.
I recall.
Should we interview them separately?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, next month we will do one, then the following month we'll do it, because is Mr. Corbin still working with us until we completely release him? For me, I would like to have that individual come in and talk to the council by himself with not the other person there. I think that would be easier for both gentlemen.
That's
Yeah.
professional.
And I think that, this is just my input, but I think if you're gonna do that, I think you also ought to have, if he has any references with other villages, so that maybe we can contact other villages to see how, make sure that their feelings, how they feel about working with him and stuff.
I think it's-
I mean, Tom Hogan has been the village solicitor for over 40 years. It does, to a certain extent, he understands what we went through. But I just think, if you're going with somebody new, you ought to have some kind of references to be able to contact to see how they feel, how he worked out for them.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it's something we should do in a public meeting.
I think it ought to be a special.
I think it ought to be a special where we're not here till midnight, because you know how lawyers get to talking. If we could have an interview where, you know, Mr. Corbin could come in, or Mr. Nicodemus could come in, and then, you know, give them a half hour, 45-minute block.
How do you feel about the special meeting being designated, whatever, 6 to 6:30 for one, 6:40
That's
to
what I'm saying, block.
7:10, the same night?
I don't think that would be an issue, and we could kill two birds with one
I like
stone.
it. You guys like it?
I like that, that's what I was thinking.
But you know, there's, like Benny said, there's some questions, and, you know, I don't know Mr. Nicodemus, but I know Tom well, you know.
I, as a clerk, don't think that I should be the one that checks his references. I think it should be the service department, but that's my opinion. Since the service committee is the one that handles contractual stuff, I think, but that's your opinion. If you want me to, I will, but I just think for like checking Nicodemus's references, I think that should be subject to the service committee.
I don't think that you need to check his references. I think each of us needs to do an interview, and you just set up the special meeting.
Well, he was just mentioning, and they were discussing about checking his references as well as.
I don't have any problem,
Right.
if we ask him that, and he gives us a list of people, I don't have a problem calling them people and seeing what the pros and cons are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yourselves, right? We don't
Yeah.
need committees, we need council to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe I was talking, Mark was talking, you guys were talking, so I missed something. I apologize. And Jeff was in the bathroom.
I was.
So.
Had to go.
Let's go back to
Hours
one
my
person
limit.
at a time. At this point, it sounds like we need a special meeting that Carrie will organize for each gentleman to come in. And in writing, give references to us to check before the special meeting. You have no problem contacting both to set that up? Do we need to kind of discuss what's the best night for all of us to shoot out there to you guys, or what do you think of that?
Back up 1 second.
Okay.
I think we ought to check the references that they give us after we get their presentation.
Okay.
Just to see, so we can, you know, if he says something that kind of, you know, we think that we have an interest in, we can call that person and say, okay, so, Mr. Nicodemus says this, is this above board? What was your interaction with him on this issue?
Okay.
So that we can just basically cross-reference stuff. But that's just my opinion.
So we need to put in that we want references and we want contact people.
I like it. And
Yeah.
does Saturday afternoons work for everybody?
I don't know yet.
I will contact Nicodemus and I will contact Corbin to find out what days that they have available, since they're attorneys, sometimes they might have certain days they're not available. And once I get those dates, I will get back with those.
Yeah.
Sound good?
We all have
Busy
different
during
schedules, so it's hard.
I was at the fire and party.
So I was trying to narrow it down, because we all have weird schedules, but whatever works. Okay, sounds good. So it looks like we are on to code of ethics. Have you all had a chance to review?
Yes. Per the discussion last month, Mr. Moore indicated that he would like it be read by our solicitor before we made any move on it. Was he able to do so?
He mentioned it, but you guys didn't vote on it because he was making corrections. I wanted to wait until all the corrections were done. Now that the corrections has been done and they were in your box for the month, if there are any other changes, and at that point, then you guys can vote to send it to the solicitor and have them review it. I just wanted to make sure all the corrections were done prior to sending it to him.
Right, I reviewed it, the corrections I asked for.
Right.
Yes, they were listed.
Okay, so if there was any other adding or subtracting that you guys wanted to do before I send it on him?
I don't have any personally, unless, you know, one of the other members does.
My thing is, we were out of line on the code of ethics and stuff, because when we swore our oath to take this office, that's all in the Ohio Revised Code. And to me, this is a new point on that. I think if the FEMA and the EPA are the issues that you're trying to get to, then I need to see the qualifications that you're talking about, that EPA requires this, FEMA requires this. And the code of ethics, we've already took our code of ethics when we swore our allegiance to the state of Ohio and the village of Vermillion.
So Mark, in your past experience, if I may, regarding the RCAP, I know the sunshine law, we all have to have at least once in our term. Regarding the RCAP and regarding FEMA, what, under your past administration, did you require everybody to have that, or certain individuals? And how is that spelled out?
We assign, like Carrie and Ralph and,
FEMA, everybody got qualified.
well, I need to see that, or
I think the
separately.
EPA is the one that only had to have 3 council members, but FEMA is all.
Well, if I can,
It's required training.
I understand where you're coming from,
Council
and I don't have a problem with that. The code of ethics, I think, is a moot point, because when we signed our certificate of appointment or election, we took care of the code of ethics. That's in the Ohio Revised Code. That is the law of the state of Ohio. We don't need to interfere with the laws of the state of Ohio. If FEMA and EPA require us to have everybody certified, then I want to see it in writing, and I think that's the only thing that needs to be addressed in this whole thing.
So, I see your point, but with the laws for the state of Ohio, right?
Right.
So, but we can add to those, right? That's just the bare bones
We're
minimum.
not adding anything, we're basically verbatim out of the Ohio Revised Code.
Well, we are adding because when it's required immediately after taking seat and people aren't doing it, and the code of ethics that we're trying to operate the village of Amanda within the bounds of 4 months instead of whenever you feel like it, or, we are eligible for funding, we are better prepared to serve our community, and I'm not understanding why anyone wouldn't want to do that.
The sunshine law is described in here. The FEMA and the EPA are the only things that's not addressed in there, other than the 2 consecutive unexcused meetings. I have no problem with that, but there's nothing in there unless special occasions or something arises, that is an issue. So say you get COVID and you're down for 8 weeks, you miss 2 meetings, I think there needs to be a clause in the 2 meeting thing that there are exceptions to the rule.
But wouldn't COVID be excused?
Well, not according to this. If you miss 2 consecutive absences, it's subject to removal by majority council vote.
It's
If
2
it's
consecutive
unexcused.
unexcused absences.
So COVID would be excused, but again, with the FEMA and RCAP, it's a matter of 4 months, not 4 years, that I'm trying to.
And I don't have a problem with that, but the rest of this, I do have a problem with, because it's right here in the Ohio Revised Code. So if there's, with the FEMA and the EPA and any other testing that needs to be done, I would like to see the requirements for that before we proceed. And the rest of this, I think, is just a moot point.
Is this what you're asking about, this required training that's in writing?
I've got that. But it doesn't say
You already have it all,
that.
don't you?
I got more than what you think I do.
Not thinking of anything about it, except that it would be great if we all had it, so we're all better serving our
We're all
community.
supposed to have a new edition of the basic code book.
We only get 3. So there's 1 at the office, and there's 2 there for anybody to.
But back to this.
We only
But
get
get
3.
back to this, other than adding specifications on the consecutive unexcused uses, FEMA and EPA should be the only thing that we're addressing here, because we've already took care of the ethics and the qualifications of the council.
Our Ohio Environment Code is also on our website, anybody can access it,
So that's my 2 cents worth, and you guys can take it for what it's worth. We're not here to change the Ohio Revised Code. We are here to obey the Ohio Revised Code.
So we have adopted and obey and taken an oath. This is just a way to hold people more accountable and get a little momentum with our local government and the way that we serve our community.
But the issue is that flag here says that we have a right to disagree.
Absolutely.
Mr. Moore has his hand.
I'm sorry, I didn't
That's
see it.
okay.
That's fine. I spent $1,823 having a lawyer representing me in front of this council, saying that in a 4-year term, you have to finish your sunshine law. nowhere, and that I have done, nowhere in there does it say that we have to do the FEMA and the EPA. And all the places that he has worked, Baltimore's one, and all the others, they never made anybody get them. And it wouldn't stand up in a court of law. And at that time, in front of Mr. Tom Spring, you dropped all charges against me, and everything went away. Here, a year later, you're saying we have to do it again.
I dropped charges against you because you decided to go ahead and do what was required. Not
I was
because of what-
required to do that in a 4-year term. That was what, in your term, the prior term was somebody else's. You had no control over that.
And that's what I'm trying to do now, is make our council more readily available to serve our community in a way that is prepared to respond to an emergency and for funding. And because we should want to do it in less than 4 years. I can't control what happened before. I dropped the charges because you decided to go ahead within a couple months and get your certifications. It took $1,823, I guess.
No,
but at least you got it.
$1,823.
Well, at least you got it, and now we are.
No one
going-
else has spent that kind of money to represent themselves, and my lawyer at the time said all the other charges wouldn't stand up in a court of law.
Well, no one else had to spend that kind of money because they chose to do their
Can we go,
certifications.
I
Right?
feel like we're getting
Everyone
off
has
topic.
their certifications
And
without
we're getting a
spending
little
the money.
emotional, and maybe we all ought to step back and take a breath. And I have a question. Mr. Moore, you know this Ohio Revised, I got your name right?
Yeah.
Better than I do. So is there anything, so you made a comment about, we're not to go against the Ohio Revised Code. To the best of your knowledge, is there anything in here that contradicts the Ohio Revised Code? That would go against what the
The
Ohio.
two
Revised
meeting
Code-
is 3 meetings.
But we're allowed to set rules to make it a little bit more, right? Versus, we couldn't make it 4 meetings, right? But,
Unless there's
Right, right,
circumstances. Yes. So, since the attorney wasn't addressed on this, I still want to.
yeah, no, I think it's a good idea to have the attorney review it and see if there's anything that contradicts the Ohio Revised Code.
So until then, I make a motion to table this until we get a legal description.
There's a motion on
Dave's got his hand up.
the floor to table
Table till we get a legal
the,
opinion.
until we get a legal opinion concerning the code of ethics. Is there discussion or second? Is there a second? Are there discussion?
I'm second.
You will second.
Yes, ma'am.
Table.
Now, are there any discussion?
It's tabled.
So I would like to make a motion to amend the previous motion. To go along with what Mr. Moore is saying, I would like to see us send this to the solicitor for his opinion before we proceed any further.
I'm not understanding what you amended.
That
Okay?
was the motion, dude.
Hmm?
That was the motion.
So you're making the motion to send it now?
I see.
I've done that before. I made the motion to table until it was done.
Okay. Because if I'm correct, if we make a motion to table something in a previous meeting, we have to make a motion to take it off the table to proceed.
That's correct.
Okay. So I withdraw my amendment.
So get a legal opinion and we'll bring it back on the table. That's my suggestion.
All right, a motion made by Mark and a second by Rod. Any other discussion?
It's over.
It's over. Okay, it's tabled.
Okay. Tabling requires a majority vote.
Yes, it does.
It does
I looked it up.
require a majority vote.
Then that's just new.
Yeah, it's been.
Well, that's why we get to continue to make new code of ethics too, so that we can continue to go into 2022 with a great teamwork. So, vote for, all in favor, or in favor, and
To table.
are there,
To
Motion carried.
Yes.
Yes.
So now are we all in favor?
I hope so.
Wonderful. I'm glad that we got that figured out. I love learning. Thank you so much.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, Mark, if you table something, it does require a majority to go down to Robert's Rule.
I took my Robert's Rule book out of my briefcase tonight because it was just too darn heavy.
Yeah.
Well, I recall last month you telling me that it didn't require a vote, and
I'm sure it
I
does.
looked it up and it does.
it does.
It does.
I know, I've got one.
I got a copy of Robert's Rules.
So, I got a new one.
Well, I suggest we all study it so that we can be better equipped to serve our community.
If you only knew how much I studied books.
It doesn't hurt to continue, does it? I mean, it's always evolving, and that's what the government, for me, is to continue to learn. It's not just stuck in what we used to do. Going forward, goals. Thank you, Suzanne, for submitting your goals. Anyone else?
I forgot.
I have mine, but I don't like them.
I'm glad that you want to revise them, because it's okay to continue to change things.
Yeah, I just didn't like
It's
them.
all right.
Can we have another
We
one?
don't have to set in the same
I
way.
just don't
that we're
like them.
doing it.
No, I have them.
He started them, but he just didn't like them. so
No,
he couldn't
I
change them.
finished them, but I don't like them.
Girls rock, that's how it goes. I
I did 'em.
appreciate your energy with that.
May I have an extension, please?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your efforts. It's nice to know that we can continue to grow and accept change. New business. Yes, sir.
So, I had a call from two concerned parents, who were not the residents of the village, but concerning the school. The one concern I had today was one of, I don't know if it was a resident or somebody picking their kid up or whatever, parked in a fashion to where their wheels were touching basically the sidewalk on the opposite side of the primary school, but the rest of their pickup truck was hanging out in the road in such a fashion that no traffic could pass and created an issue. Guess there was a lot of beeping and throwing of hands and such like that. The other parent advised me that she parked at the end of the primary school, pick up her son, put her other child who was handicapped in a stroller, and wasn't able to access the sidewalks because they were so icy and slippery and snow covered.
Which sidewalks?
Huh?
Which sidewalks is she trying
To
to
the school.
access?
In front of the primary?
No, she stated that it was, she had parked behind it and was going up the side of the primary on loops to where they released the children.
I see.
And the sidewalks were bad. So in the midst of the traffic situation that was going on, she was basically forced to push her child in the street. So, I didn't drive up by to see how bad the sidewalks were. But that's just two calls I got today, so. I don't know how I know we've worked with the school and they've changed their pickup procedures and stuff for us, but it still seems like there's traffic jams on that road. And I have to agree, the one resident we had in the last year said, you know, if I have a medical emergency or the neighbor's house is on fire or something, that we're gonna have a problem getting emergency vehicles. And I can speak till I'm blue in the face about access problems for emergency vehicles, which I will not. But I do see a big problem. And I don't know what the solution is. I don't know if we make Luke's Avenue or Luke's, no parking for anybody from like 7:30 to 4:30, which is gonna make a lot of residents mad because they can't access their property. But, you know, we've addressed this issue. I know we've addressed it prior to you being mayor, a long time ago. And it just seems like we Band-Aid fixed it for a while. It gets worse again, people start having issues. So, I don't know. I think we need to look into it.
Dave, I noticed this morning, I think where they're talking about is from about the playground area down to the parking lot.
Mhm.
That part of the sidewalk was not plowed.
Okay.
They plowed everything from there down to, they got a lower access that comes in down there, they plowed it clear down to that, looks to me like.
Okay.
From that point to the parking lot,
Was
did
where
not
the
appear to have
issue was?
been plowed.
Okay.
Or the
When school did their
sidewalks
On the
clear?
sidewalk. Their sidewalks were clear down to that, almost to where the playground area, there's a when I was driving the streets this morning, checking things. But I would have to say that I believe what they're doing now is a much better situation than what we had before.
Absolutely.
Is it 100%? No, probably not, but I don't know what you're gonna do that could make it 100%. I think, from what I see, most of the time, I think it is passable, that you could get a vehicle down the middle. Now, could you get a great big fire truck? I don't know. I think to say you possibly could, it would be probably tight.
Yeah.
But, from what I've been seeing, and I drive out around there just about, well, I won't say every day, but there's at least 2 or 3 days a week, I drive all the streets and check to see things, see if I see anything that needs to be repaired or, stuff like that, and I usually try to do it, sometime in the morning, usually before they all get there, but they're usually sitting in that parking lot. But I believe it is a much better situation than what we had before, in the alleys and stuff. At least everything's not blocked up. If they're not clear out on School Street, most of the traffic is either in that parking lot, they stack them like 2 and 3 sideways in that parking lot. So I think it's a much better situation. There is a little bit of overflow along Route Street, but not back clear up out into School Street or anything like that.
So, I guess we can consider this an isolated incident then?
Yeah, I would say, as far as that snow removal down there, most of the time, I know Brian, and then when they plow the sidewalks, him and Jason usually do a lot of that plowing, and most of the time, they plow most of them walks. I think it was just that lower end that wasn't plowed.
Yeah, like I said, Ben, I didn't drive by and look.
I would agree, it was not plowed.
I wonder if that parent has made her concern known to the staff of the primary.
I do not know that.
Because if I'm strollering my handicapped child
Right.
and then the ice and have to go in the road, I'm sure I would be letting the staff know of my concern.
So I know, I have the numbers of these 2 people expressed concerns, so I'll reach out to them and just tell them that, the isolated incidents due to weather and parking situation is, where the traffic flow is gonna be, an issue until everybody's picked up.
It is a challenge. That's school and the parking and residents, that's been a constant battle.
Right. But yes, I will recommend when we asked them to change their pickup procedure, it did get better. So.
Yeah, I think it's much better than what it was before, and I think, they did a nice job of doing it in that back parking lot. That was my suggestion years ago, and nobody really thought that it was worthwhile, but I think it is a huge improvement.
Yeah, the teacher said so as well.
Good.
When I asked them.
So I just told them that we would address it tonight, we're gonna bring it up tonight and we'll move on.
I think everybody's sidewalks are a mess right now.
Oh, yeah.
Even the village of Amanda's sidewalks.
Yeah, I got all this morning, but
Mine
I
are spotless,
can't
still
get
10
it,
feet up.
that's it.
I was gonna try to blow it off the snow blower, too, it's
No, it's
just too hard,
not.
it's not
I
too
had to get a metal.
I put salt
Yeah,
down and I'm like, eventually.
It's better to leave what's there.
Yeah.
If you start, then you get down to the ice, and then it really doesn't work.
Right.
Leave it alone.
Okay, anything else for new business at this point? Thank you for that.
My understanding is that you're having a meeting on police.
No, so it's not on police protection. So what, wanted to bring up, Friday, February 11th, trying to set up a meeting for people to come and talk about whether or not there's enough support for some sort of speed control, whether it's speed bumps, rumble strips. I think we talked about it at the last one. I don't have an opinion one way or the other, okay? I'd like to hear what the people of the village want. Do they want, you know what I mean? Do they want it? Do they not? To be honest, at this point, judging by the responses we got on Facebook, it doesn't look like there's support for it. But I think, one of my opinions is that we're here to do what the people in the village want. And I'd like to hear if they want. There've been a lot of complaints, particularly on Facebook, of course, in regards to speeding down Main Street. So I'd like to hear their thoughts if there's really support.
I think it was a couple months ago that council, when it was brought up, and I got all the information to you guys.
Oh, it's probably
They said they were
before.
gonna have a public meeting and
Yeah.
discuss it, so
Well, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, it's not about police protection at all. It's really about, speed bumps, speed humps, or rumble strips. And if any of those are even desired, or what the thought is.
I don't know about rumble strips, but I know speed bumps have been brought up before, and you can't put them on the main thoroughfare, which is Main Street, School Street, which are our biggest culprits. I don't know about rumble strips and stuff like that. I just wanted to clarify.
Yep. From what I saw, it looked like you can't put them on state roads, but it looks like this one, I don't know. For my opinion, if there's enough support, maybe it's worth talking to Alan and see, but, you know, if there's no support, then it'll die.
All right.
Well, I think you'd have to go through Mr. Rapp, the engineer, county engineer, Jeremiah.
Actually, the way, probably they would be involved, but it looks like it's up to us. From what I can tell.
I just,
As long as we're met their guidelines.
I had a question, I wanted to make sure someone asked me that, you know, because I've been through 3 different times, people wanting police departments in this village. And it all comes down to that 5 mil levy that's on your on your tax.
Absolutely. They want it until they gotta pay for it.
That's right.
Well, before the town hall, the Amanda Neighborhood Watch Program Captains, which is not sponsored by the Village of Amanda, will be meeting as well. So we hope to discuss a little more about improving safety measures, not really policing, but that's not really a Village of Amanda topic. So hopefully you'll come to our town hall. Anything else for new business? All right. We have some revisions to the Ohio Basic Code Ordinance. Revisions.
Yeah, every year we get our new Ohio Basic Code books, we have 3, and they send us a thing to adopt the revisions. This is the revisions here, if anybody wants to review them, but typically we just pass and adopt the revisions since we do Ohio, this is part of our Ohio laws. Right. Not our local laws or our federal laws, but these are part of our laws.
Did you
Even
include
they
copies
make
of
revisions.
Can we get copies of those,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah.
I would like to see every council member with Ohio revised code book. I know they're expensive, but you can do your own research.
I actually put
all
a digital
available
copy
online.
of the Ohio Basic Code on our website, so you
all
can
available.
access it at any time.
I use the
Yeah, it's
Ohio Revised Code online. I use.
Yeah, you can access it online very
Yeah.
easily.
Plus the books in the office for anybody
And
that,
there's nothing wrong with that.
you want to look.
No, you said you have an extra book at home?
I have too much paper.
Yes, I have 2 books in a box.
I know.
I have to
Any
keep
bit of-
one book in the office and keep it in our rental
Yeah,
records.
this
but
is
there's
like-
2 extra
So
books.
I will stop in and
That's okay.
get that
Yeah,
and look,
yeah.
and so I can read.
Why don't you just make a copy of it for everybody?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay,
Yeah, I like that.
thank you.
So do we need to pass that, or is it just?
Yeah, we have to pass it to be able
I
to
move
use the
we
Ohio
do.
Basic Code.
I move we do.
So Mark has made a motion to accept the revisions to the Ohio Basic Code Ordinance. Is there a second? Jeff has made a second. Any discussion? And then vote for? It looks like we're all in favor to accept the revisions to the Ohio Basic Code Ordinance.
Somebody pay the bill.
Did you say you make a motion?
I'd like to make a
pay the
motion to
bills?
pay the bills, please.
Thank you, Jeff. Second?
Sure.
Dave, all in favor? Wonderful. Suzanne, did you say you made a motion to?
You were ready.
Motion to adjourn. And is
Second.
there a second, Jeff? Thank you. All in favor? Wonderful.
I'd do that.